school, between colds, vaccines, getting back into the swing of things, of course, back to school can be really stressful, not just for the kids, but for you parents too. Well, we want to take the ack out of back to school, so we spoke with Dr. Kohli about how to best prepare ourselves before those kids head out to the bus. Dr. Kohli, it is so great to have you back. I know I always see these cute photos of you with your little nephews and nieces and your whole family, so cute, but they're all about to get back to school, so not as much free time for Auntie Pyle Kohli, unfortunately. But we're all about to get back to school, right? And we want to make sure we're doing so in a healthy way. So how do we avoid those back to school bugs, you know, that we're kind of getting there?
You know, I just went to visit them and talk to their parents about this, because it is hard when you got a couple of little ones at home. It's so easy to get exposed to those bugs. So I would say there's a few things we can do as parents. So the first is we can start tuning up their immune system a little bit, get them in preparation for going back to school. And that means making sure they're having plenty of sleep. And the sleep is really dependent on their age group, but they need sleep according to how old they are. And we need to make sure it's enough, because in summer sometimes we stay up late, we don't have routines, what have you. Making sure they're eating a well-balanced diet, making sure they're getting hydrated, getting enough exercise every day. So getting them back into a routine, Danny, is a really nice way to get that immune system a little bit happier so that it's ready for those bugs. Starting to work on their habits a little bit, because I've noticed when they're at birthday parties and such, they share cookies, they share snacks, they share whatever. Not sharing things with other kids. As much as we want to teach them the concept of sharing, actually physically sharing the food is a nice way to spread bugs. Making sure that when it comes to things like lice, they're not using any kind of personal hygiene products that, you know, in camp or such that other kids may be using, whether that's hairbrushes, combs, bath towels, swim towels, those types of things, really keeping things separate for them. So making a little bag for them, teaching them this is your stuff, that's somebody else's stuff, and really teaching them those behavioral things that'll keep them healthy. Yeah, sharing is caring, but not sharing these bugs. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about vaccinations too. Of course, many of our parents want to make sure that they are, you know, getting their kids ready and prepared in terms of their vaccinations for schools. What do we need to keep in mind? So August is a great time to schedule a physical for yourself and for your child, because you're almost starting a new year. The fall is coming when we know a lot of the respiratory viruses and such, the activity goes up. So it's a good time to plan out what that second half of the year is going to look like. So I say make a visit to the pediatrician before they go back to school. And it comes to vaccinations, there's really sort of a Goldilocks window, because you don't want to get it too early. So August is a little bit almost too early. So kind of early September, when they're right in school, is when you want to try to plan those vaccinations, because if you get it too early, that immunity runs out by the time late winter rolls around and the, you know, virus season is still active. If you get it too late, of course, you're unprotected for the first part of the season. So kind of September through Halloween is when it's sort of peak vaccination season, but planning ahead for that now so that you're lined up as to which vaccines you're going to get, not just for your kids, but also for yourself as well. And this year the FDA has approved the RSV vaccine, which is a brand new vaccine for adults over the age of 60 that is really recommended for them. Interesting. Okay. Well, finally, too, Dr. Kohli, I want to talk quickly about getting back into that routine. I know we mentioned it at the beginning to ward off those bugs, but, you know, it's so much for these kids, right? They are in the summer, they're staying up later. Like you said, we're eating meals at different times, right? And then we're just not really thinking about playtime versus work time. So how can we start now to get our kids back into that routine and make sure that they're prepared fully for the school year? You know, Danny, when it comes to sleep, you really have to give at least a week for every 15 minutes. So if they're sleeping an hour later than they're supposed to be sleeping during school days, you want to sort of plan ahead about 4 weeks, because that's how long it'll take the body to sort of adjust back to that time. And similarly with the meal times, you want to make sure that snacks, meal times, everything is starting to get more scheduled as the school year really looms, so that you can kind of prepare them for not just when they're supposed to play, but also when they're supposed to study, because now they're going into the next level, the next grade, and their brains have been turned off of the learning mode, possibly for the whole summer if they've been in camp and just kind of hanging around. So you really want to start to get them back into homework, get them back into discipline, get them back into meal times, and time it according to when their school is supposed to start. Okay. Oh my goodness, Dr. Kohli is giving us some homework so we can make sure the kids are doing the same. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Good to see you, Danny. Guys, during this break, make sure you get your list ready for those kiddos, and we'll be right back. Well, guys, make sure to email us your questions for Dr. Kohli. Just send your message to mycoco@9news.com and put Kohli in the subject line. More back to school fun when we come back.